to be looking at is your top right-hand corner. And I think you should be able to see my cursor as well. Can you see these 9 dots here? Yeah, that's where all these tools are hidden, so to speak, right? I don't know whether you've ever explored it, but the moment you click on that, you see a whole list of things there. Yeah, some of us may have never looked at it, right? So today I'm showing it to you, so you know, and this is where we later on, we will be also looking out for things like Google Docs and Google Slides and even Google Sheets. But I thought to start us off, something very interesting that you may want to play around with is this thing called Google Earth. Like Google Maps. Google Maps, usually if you are traveling nowadays, a lot of people, right? When you are trying to find a place, you could use Google Map, but you could also have Google Earth, and that helps you to see, right? That helps you to see what is happening in... Okay, I'm trying to get my bar up. I want to, okay, clear off the annotation. Give me a minute. All right, there we go. Okay, so with this, actually, you can travel around the world. Yeah, you can even go for some spots. You can even go just like in your Google Map. You actually can go through the place. Yeah, so this is one of those tools that you have there, right? And you can actually look for a place, right? So you can actually find a place, and you actually can travel. So you can travel to anywhere in the world, right? And it's quite exciting, right? And then what you want to use is at this bottom corner, when you're at a particular place, you actually can click this little man or little person icon. You actually can be planted right into the place. Not all places have that function available, but a good lot of famous landmarks in the world have that. So you actually can click, and then you will be able to be brought in to a particular place in the world. So that is Google Earth, yeah? Of course, you see maps as well, right? And the other one that you might find quite interesting is arts and culture, right? In arts and culture, you're able to visit museums, right? You're able to learn about different cultures in the world, okay? And there are quite a lot of interesting things, including jigsaw puzzles you can play with, and so on, all right? So there are games you can play, the artworks you can look at. I've introduced generally where the tools are, So this is where we are going. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to now move over to Google Slides in particular. All right. And the focus on the Google Slide bit would be how we can actually collaborate with others. That means how we can work with another person at the same time. Okay, how we can work with another person at the same time. You would go to Google Slides, right? Click on the slides. You'll open up the slide for you, like so. Of course, for you, if you have not created any slides, there won't be as many. I've got lots of slides. So you just press on the plus, and you are ready to begin a new slide, right? So as simple as that. Then, of course, there are certain themes given to you that you can choose how you want to lay out, right? And then if you press the plus on the left-hand side, you press the arrow down, you'll see different sort of layouts you could use to create your slides. So very much like PowerPoint, isn't it? Yeah, very much like PowerPoint, right? Then, of course, you type in your stuff and all that. And the feature that I want to be able to share with you today is how you actually can work on the same deck of slides with somebody else at the same time. Yeah, and both of you can be there at the same time working at it, and that's really quite useful, right? So you just have to click on the share at the top right hand, and then you can actually, okay, it'll ask you the name, all right? So we name it first. And then you could either send it via email by putting email addresses. So only those of them who got the email will be able to edit or comment or share, depending on how you set the thing. Or you could share by link, which is what I'm going to do for this exercise. I'm going to share a link in the chat for you. When you click on the link, we will all be inside one same Google slide. And I've got some activities for us to do there as a hands-on. All right. So in the bottom part here, it says get link, right? there is where you can change first, right? And then you notice that you actually can, down here, select whether the person with the link can only view. That means you don't want them to touch your Google slide. You just want them to see what you have presented, you have put together. You can also ask them to be a commenter. That means they can add comments. Or you can ask them to edit. That means they can do everything that you can do. Right? So these are the few things you can do. And so I have set this particular slide where I'm actually going to invite you to be an editor. Okay, I've invited you to be an editor. So I'm going to get that link. So just to be sure, that editor. So I've copied the link. And now I'm going to go back to Zoom and I will be sharing that via the chat. And then I will see that you will come in and you can all be here. And I have a little 2 activities for us to do. All right. So let me get the chat from the Zoom up. Okay, there we go. 1 person coming in. 2, see? All right. Exercise. Okay. I'd like you to navigate to one of these next 4 slides, okay? If you are born in January to March, then you go to slide number 2. If you are born in April to June, then you go to slide number 3. If you are born in July to September, you will go to the 4th slide and the 5th slide if you are born in October to December. And what we want to practice is just very simple, how to add a text. So not here, I see some of you working on that box. Don't work on that box. So you watch me do it first. Add text box. Okay, in the second line, if you have this icon here, click on the text box. Then you draw out a text box, and then you start typing, hello, I am, and then you write your name. So that after a while, we've got lots of text boxes everywhere. So this is really wonderful for collaboration. Yeah, because sometimes it's a bit difficult when you just you finish the PowerPoint, then you send to another person and wait for that person to correct and then send it back to you. Right, round and round, you have a lot of waiting time. So this is one quick way in which you can all work together on a document. Of course, for discussions, this is fantastic as well. Almost like a sort of brainstorming. You can do brainstorming in this way as well. Everybody pack your ideas and then organize it together. Everybody can see at the same time, right? So you can either do it with or without being on Zoom, on Skype, or on the phone. You can actually do it right here.
You did the first slide that you don't want people to get inside. Can you just delete it yourself, or you ask them to delete? Or you
okay, now that I've given editorial rights to everyone, anybody can delete slides, including me. So you become like the owner, right? So that is the thing lah. So if in the group they are not getting along well, then you will see people typing and another person will delete it, and then then you'll mess everything up. Yeah. But the good thing, of course, is that there actually is this thing, right? There's this thing called versions that you actually can go to, so you actually can go through the version history, and you actually can go backwards. So in case accidentally, in your discussion, you say, oh, actually, maybe 5 minutes ago, that version was what we like better. You actually can go back. You can choose an older version and go back. And that reminds me, you notice that under file here, there's no save button.
That's right.
Yeah, because it's auto save. Don't need to save at all. It's automatically saved for you. That you want people to just comment and not mess up whatever you have done, then you share as a commenter, right? And if you just want to do a presentation and you don't want people to even leave comments, then share as a viewer. So it's your choice. It is your choice. Even when you send out via email, it's the same thing. Okay? Thank you, Ivy, for that question. So I move on to the second exercise. It's very similar, right? But this time around, I thought it's quite interesting. We have the map of Singapore, and this is what we're going to try now. The next thing we want to add is this thing called shape, okay? So other than the text box, we go to the shape, and under shape, you have this thing called call outs. I want to try this simple one called call outs, and we're going to try one of these speech bubbles, yeah? You pick any one that you want. Let's say I pick this particular speech bubble, and I put it here. Okay, you notice that there's this little yellow square, and actually I can target and pull it to where I want it to point. Oops, okay. I can pull, so the speech bubble can point precisely, okay, maybe next to Bedok Reservoir. All right, and then I can type inside here my favorite food. Actually, I don't know. Carrot cake, maybe. All right. Yeah, I can actually type. And then if I like to, I actually can change the color. How do I change the color? I go back up to the top here. You'll see that there is this bucket for fill color. I can choose a different color. Right? And so on.
Can I save it into a PDF file, then WhatsApp it to a friend?
Yes, you may.
Can, PDF
yes. So if you look at the file, under file, you have got download. Download, right? And in download, you have Microsoft. Download, you have Microsoft PowerPoint. You have this ODP document. You got PDF. You got plain text. You got JPEG image. And JPEG image means just that slide that you're on. You can actually export it as a picture, right? There's a PNG image, the same thing, whichever slide you're on, you can actually also export that as an image. And of course, you can also make it a scalable vector graphic. But I think most of us will be familiar with the first one, PowerPoint, or else PDF document. All right. For the, yeah, you're most welcome. For the slides, sometimes it does happen when you put in the PowerPoint, because of the font you have chosen and all that, it might run a little bit. Here, I want to share with you this thing where you set things as titles, as headings, and then we'll talk a little bit about lists as well as indent. And of course, if you like inserting image, and for those advanced users, how a table of content might be useful. So I'll demonstrate first, okay? So typing your name is just typing. So I'm going to suggest you delete and then you type. Okay, and you notice, oh dear, it's all red. I didn't want it to be red text. You'll notice that there is this A and text color you can change. So you change it back. All right. And here I want it to be a title. So this is where I will delete that. And I want this whole thing to be the title. So this is what I do. Under this thing that you see in normal text, if you drop down, you'll see that you actually can choose what sort of format you want it to be in. All right. So if you choose title, for example, it will be like this. So every time, if you want, let's say you are writing a few chapters, every time you want the title to look the same, you don't actually have to memorize that, okay, this was 26, whatever. Then the next time you go there, you go and format it accordingly. Instead, you just have to highlight the thing and then put it to title. Then every time you have a title, it will always consistently look the same. All right. And the more wonderful thing is that if at this point, let's say I change the color, right? Or I change the font, and then I go back to this, and you notice under the arrow, I can actually update the title match. Then every time I use title, it will become the same. I don't have to laboriously go through every single title to go and change color and change size. Very convenient. Okay, can do. So this is one thing, but I'm going to show you how you'll do the same, and then how with multiples of this later when you do your table of content is really very easy. Okay, so let's say I just put title 3, heading 3 for this one, and the same. This is really so that later when we do the table of contents, there are some things to show up there. So I'll just put heading 3 for all the different headings. All right, now listing. How can you do the listing? There's auto, of course. Once you put a dash, the next thing after you press enter, it will start automatically giving you a list. But this is what you could do as well. At the point where you want to make this into a list, I have choices on my right top here, right? I can put it a number list, or I can do it just a bulleted list. In this case here, I'll do a bulleted list. And then the next item is toys. I do it again. I press enter and it becomes a list. And then the last one, it becomes a list. All right. So this is how you can create lists very easily. If, for example, in your list, you have got different orders, that means dangers is the top. And then the next two, toys and snares, you want it to be sort of like a list under this list item, then you could use indent, increase the indent, and you notice that the bullet changes as well. Okay, if you want an indent. All right. So this will be the same that you do when you want to indent a paragraph. So instead of using space, 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 or even a tab, what you could do is you could highlight this whole paragraph that you want to indent, tap on indent, and there you have it. You actually have it indented. Okay, indent is to have this space here. All right. Okay, so this one heading again so that I can show you later on what you can do with a table of content, which is really helpful. Okay, and now I want to insert an image. So I delete this first. I go here and go under insert image, and I can actually search the web immediately. Or of course, you can upload from the computer, and I type Amazing Grace, right? And you see that different images appear. Let's say I like this particular image. I choose it, and then you see that it has the insert option, and I say insert, it gets inserted into the document. All right, inserted into the document. Then, of course, if it's too big, when I click on it, I can actually drag this box to make it smaller. And you notice that it has become, okay, sorry, it's gone lost. Okay, here it's become smaller, right? Then I want it in the middle. What can I do? Of course, I can go up here and do it centering. So now it's in the middle. Then if I want to be fanciful and I don't want this part of it, I want it to be a nice square. I don't want this part of the picture. I actually can double click. And you notice that once I double click, it actually changes into a cropping tool. And I can just drag the crop and I take away that part of the picture. I click anywhere outside, you see it's become a square picture, right? And finally, if I want to insert a table of content, I will go all the way up here. Perhaps I want to have a table of content here, insert table of contents, and just click on that, and there you have it. There you have it. Okay, so this is the table of content. All right. Further down, actually, I have got the same headings. That's why it's appeared here on page 25. But otherwise, you'll notice that it actually would go by all the headings that you have created. The moment you create a heading, it populates the table of content. And the table of content is actually a link. So you've got multiple pages. You can put this at the beginning. People can just easily go to that page, right? Instead of having to scroll through, from here they can. Of course, they will also see the page number here. All right, so the page number tools are all the headings that we have done earlier on. So these are the few things that I want to very quickly demo. I don't think they're way too difficult. But again, I want to show you just now, because we only have one title, maybe you can't see the difference. Now let me just demonstrate with this one. Let's say I change this to blue and I bold it. And now under heading number 3, if I click down, heading number 3, I say update headings. You notice that immediately all my headings here have become blue in color. All right. And then let's see whether my table of content changes. You click on it, you'll see that there's a refresh. It doesn't automatically refresh. You refresh it and nothing happens. So it's still the same few headings. Okay, will appear and it'll tell you which page it's at. Okay, can do. All right. So this sample is a bit messy, but I actually have a complete sample at the bottom and I can actually show you. I also did a link here to the complete sample, and the completed sample should look like that. So you have got the table headings, right? And then you have got the title, the headings, and then the list, and then the indentation and an image. So this is what you can do in terms of formatting. The other way actually is to go to your Drive, Google Drive, because your Google Drive is where everything is. Okay, right? So if you go to your Drive, it will show you everything that you have that's saved, that I've opened earlier on as well. Okay, sorry, that's not the Drive. This Drive, right? So you see all the documents you recently worked on, all your files. This is where you can manage your files as well, which I will not talk about today. But under New, on the top left hand here, plus New, you click on new, you will notice that there is actually this thing called form, among other things. So you could also start a new document from this way, right? A new slide, a new document, a new spreadsheet from this way. But today, because some of you are asking about forms, you just click on the forms, right? It will actually just give you, so your questions. So what you do is, of course, you give a title, ask, say. Then you describe what this is about, sample for workshop, okay? And then question number 1, your name, please, okay? And then you choose whether it's a multiple choice, or is it a short answer, or is it a paragraph answer, and so on. You choose what kind of response you want, right? And then, so in this case, a short answer. If this is a required, because sometimes in a questionnaire, right, certain parts are optional, certain parts are required. So by default, it is optional.
Where do I see the title?
Title, huh? The moment you go in, you will ask you already. The first box is for you to add title. Okay. The second box will be where you start having your questions for your survey lah.
Okay.
So then what you do is, under required, you might just want to switch it on. That means to say that if somebody is doing this survey, they cannot skip this question. They must answer it. If you don't have this on by default, they can skip the question and move on only to the ones that they want to answer. All right, so that's one setting. Of course, if you don't like this question, you could delete it. If you like this particular, that means you're asking the same type of question, but maybe the options are the same for multiple choice. Instead of typing so many times, you can just duplicate the question. So this is what these 3 buttons are for. So if you want to add a new question, you could just go to this on the side here. You can even add a video, you can add pictures, you can add a lot of things. So you want to add a question, you just plus, you add another question. So how do you rate our session? Right? So it's a multiple choice, or you want a linear scale, right? You could be a multiple choice, right? Multiple choice. Then for multiple choice, you have to write the options. I like it. I am not sure. Okay. And then if you have add other, then they actually would give this option for them to type in some other answers as well. Okay. So after you have done all your question, then you say, actually, I want to ask opinion first. I don't want the name first. Then all you need to do is go to the middle here and you can drag and rearrange. Beautiful. Okay, that's all. Simple one. So today, not advanced course. So I won't teach you how to like make color or that. So that's all that you need for now. Once you are ready, then you click on send, right? And you either send via email, you can click on a link, you can have the link that you can share, send the link on WhatsApp, whatever, and then they actually will get the survey to do. All right. Then how do you see the response? You click under responses on top. Then you wait for the responses to come in. It will actually show here, right? If you don't want to accept anymore, that means done. Survey over. You click this and the survey will be no longer be valid. Even if they got the link, they click nothing they can do about it. Now, this is the important one. You can actually then quickly populate that into a spreadsheet. Whatever answers, right? You can populate it into a spreadsheet. So when you click here, they will ask you, do you want to create a new spreadsheet or do you want to use an existing one? Most of the time, you'll create a new spreadsheet. So that spreadsheet, then you can name it and you will be able to find it in your Google Drive. Again, like slides and documents, you can share it with your team members so they can see the responses. That's how Google Form works in very, very quick one. All right. Yep. Thank you, CT. I hope you have found the session useful. Yeah. So, yeah. So that is all that I want to share about Google Form at the moment. But if you do have questions about Google Form in particular, you want to ask something, I can. Okay, so we are down to the last 10 minutes, right? Last 10 minutes, which I really wanted to leave it open for any other questions or any other thing that you may want to ask, yeah, before we close off with some quick announcements and all that, yeah. Hopefully you will stay till the end. Okay. Sorry, Ivy, I missed your message about finding this insert the table, right? Okay, once again, under your Google Docs, if you go under insert, it's right at the bottom of that list, table of contents. So of course you must put your cursor where you want the table of content to appear, right? If you want a table of content to be at the beginning, then you put your cursor there, then you add the table of content, right? And you must remember that the table of content will look different as you're working on your document. Later, you must go out and refresh it before you share, especially you share as a PDF. Yeah. Once you share as a PDF, what's good is that the links actually are still clickable, right? Which is a nice thing. So people can still use that function, right? So that's what you can do. All right, Ken. I hope that's useful. Yeah. And yeah, so was Linda and somebody else who asked about the forms. Do you have any other questions about form that you might be interested to know? Of course, you can play around all these. That's where you actually have different themes. You can change the setting. Okay, and all that. Yeah. You can even have a preview of it so that you know how your viewers, when they go in, how they might see it, right? So you have all that available for you under these. And then setting, there are various things you can change, including after they have submitted your response, right? You can actually have a confirmation here, right? Again, whether you want to show a progress bar. If this is a quiz, if you are doing this as a teacher, after the thing you want to have a quiz, then you may want to shuffle the question order, right? For each different participant, maybe a bit different, right? You could shuffle question order. But if you're doing a survey, normally you don't need that. I think under quizzes, you got more options. Okay. You actually can grade it, auto grade it and all that. But that's more for teachers. I don't know how many of us are teachers here, but if you use it as a quiz, there's that as well. Oh, quite a lot of things that you can already do. Okay. You can collect email addresses automatically, but that means that your participants in your survey must log in before they can continue with the survey. So yeah, and then whether you want to limit to one response, because that means that if they sign in, then they cannot do multiple, right? So there are some of these things that you can look at under settings. Okay. Right, I was answering my own question about Google Forms. Anyone?
The YouTube video, how do you insert? I cannot find.
Okay. So actually the YouTube video is not too difficult at all. What you want to do is, okay, let me delete this one and do it again. All right, so under insert, okay, go up to the top in your slide, insert, one of the option will be video. You see that?
Okay.
Yes. Once you select that option, it will actually bring you automatically to search YouTube first as a first choice. You could, of course, have a video in your Google Drive that you could bring up and so on. Yeah. So you have other choices. You can also have other type of URL, but it says here YouTube URL. So I don't know how other videos will look like, but certainly if it's a YouTube video, it's very convenient when you are sharing. The way it displays is also very nice. Yeah, so it's really quite a useful thing to do. Yeah, so you just search whatever, you can do your search immediately here. Don't have to go to YouTube, copy link and then bring out here. So you just search from here immediately. Yeah.
I didn't see video. The first one is image.
Okay. Do you see it differently from my image, text box, audio, video?
I look at yours first. Okay. I don't see video on mine. Is this a document or is this a slide?
This is a slide.
Oh, okay.
So document don't have video.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So it has to be on the slide document, never tried inserting video. Wonderful. So this is what we covered today. And I just want to end off very quickly to say that the next kind of broader sharing that we have at FWF would be this thing about nutrition for seniors. So we have a nutritionist who is going to join us on the 5th of June. So look out for details, yeah, to join us for this particular one. Later on, after this, I will also put a link of an invite to a WhatsApp group where we actually regularly share, because we meet once a month for a Bible teaching session. So if you're interested in that, you might also join us. And the Bible teaching session is usually at the end of the month, the last Saturday of the month between 3 to 5 o'clock. So we are currently doing this book called Ecclesiastes, as well as what is called a group of books from the Bible called the Minor Prophets. We are alternating. So we have just done Ecclesiastes the last month. So this coming month, this month actually, we are supposed to do Minor Prophets, and we are covering Jonah. But because something is happening in church this end of March, we have shifted that session into 3rd of April. So April, there'll be 2 sessions, one on the 3rd and one at the end of April. And the end of April is Ecclesiastes. On the 3rd of April will be the study of Jonah, which actually is a postpone from the end of March. Okay, I hope that's not too confusing. So we do have a WhatsApp group. And if you're interested to keep up with like what is coming up or what is there, you can join the WhatsApp group, and we'll put the Zoom link